to my husband, Brian, and he was on staff with Campus Crusade for Christ for a little while. And now I am a teacher at Plymouth High School. I teach in the alternative ed department, and I teach a class called Female Topics, where I work with senior girls in a small group setting, trying to make healthy decisions and communication skills and things like that. And I also teach a mentoring class for honor seniors who help at-risk ninth graders. I also am heavily involved in our church with my husband, who is a youth pastor.
What is one way you currently live out the mission of Christ? How did being involved in Campus Crusade help prepare you for this, or how did it transfer over?
One way I currently what?
Live out the mission of Christ.
In my job?
Yeah.
Is that what? Okay. One way I currently live out the mission of Christ is that the mission of Christ is to get the gospel to every single person and to bring those people close to Him, and so that He can heal them and grow them and teach them how to serve. And so one way I do that is that every day I talk to my students about the way that they make decisions, and every chance I get, I share about Christ. So if I do an activity where I want them to share something personal about themselves, like create a folder or create a name tag or do something creative, I always show mine first as the model, and I always share about Christ and my own personal faith about becoming a Christian later in life and getting saved in college. And students are always really interested in that. And so I always share first because legally that's what I'm allowed to do. I also share with my colleagues, and I help work with the youth group at my church. But the mission of Christ is all about helping people realize that God loves them and that Christ loves them. And a big part of my job is teaching girls that God loves them. Even in a secular public school, I'm able to do that.
How did being involved in Campus Crusade help prepare you for this?
Being involved in Campus Crusade for Christ prepared me 100 times for what I do daily in my teaching position. Crusade taught me how to lead a Bible study, which is basically what I do now. I lead a small group in my classroom. We don't study the Bible, but we do study the concepts of the Bible. Purity, good decision making, direct and honest communication without gossip. So Crusade taught me how to lead a Bible study, how to facilitate a group. Crusade taught me how to disciple people, so how to meet one-on-one with them, how to invest in another person's life, and I do that every day. I'm currently discipling girls that were students of mine who have graduated and are at MSU, and discipling one that's at a different college. I can't remember what college she's at now, shoot. And one that's at MSU. But discipling those two women, and then constantly trying to invest in students in our youth group as well. So Crusade taught me how to disciple well, how to facilitate a small group, and also how to share my faith in a very bold way. I've gotten the opportunity to share my faith with colleagues, friends, family members, and Crusade really trained me how to do that and to do that well.
What are ways you have had to count the cost what are ways that you've had to count the cost and surrender your rights to Christ?
One of the thing about this question, how have I had to carry the cross, or how have I had to lay down my rights in order to promote the gospel? The immediate thing that comes to mind is my friendships with my colleagues at work. I have two friends that I eat every single day, lunch together. They're my best friends at work, and they're both non-believers. And I've had very direct conversations with them about the gospel and about Christ, where they've asked me, do you think I'm going to hell if I don't believe this? And I've had to look at them and say to them, yes. But I kind of believe you're living your life that way because you don't want God in your life, so you're not going to want Him later, And so it's really hard. It's really hard to tell someone that they're going to hell if they don't believe in Jesus. But because our relationship is so strong, because they know that I love them, our relationship has continued and has grown. But that was still really hard, having those conversations. And I also am definitely known as being a Christian at my school. The other staff members know I'm a Christian. And so if they're not friends with mine, or if they're not close with me, and they immediately know that, it's sometimes a turnoff and can make them not want to be my friend. But usually they get to know me and they change their mind.
Final piece of advice?
Final piece of advice. I know this conference is for students that are trying to make decisions about what to do with their life after college and how to live out the gospel and live out the message of Christ in a secular job. And I work in a public high school, and I will tell you every single day I look and pray for opportunities to talk about Jesus, because it's really the only purpose that I have. My purpose isn't to teach really great communication skills, and my purpose isn't to be the best teacher I can possibly be. My purpose at that school is to give people Jesus. And I think that if people go into their job without that being their number one purpose, then they're never going to get there. If you go into your job thinking, well, I'm going to be a really good employee, and then later on, if people ask me, I'll give them the gospel. I think you have to wake up in the morning and pray, God, give me a window, an open door to share the gospel. And if you don't show it to me, I'm going to figure out a way anyways. So have the purpose, share the gospel, don't wait. Thanks. Okay, my husband says I talk too much, so we're going to do it one more time to shorten it. Which is so true, because I always talk too much. Hi, my name is Lauren Kolzicki, and I graduated from Michigan State in 2006. I am currently a high school teacher at Plymouth High School. It's a public school. And three ways that Crusade has prepared me for my job is it taught me how to lead a Bible study. I was a Bible study leader there, and I learned how to facilitate a small group and how to run a small group and how to do icebreakers and how to have a great group. And I currently teach a class that's very similar to a small group. Secondly, it taught me how to disciple people. Discipleship is key to the gospel, the whole creating the kingdom. And I'm currently discipling 2 girls, and that were my students that are now graduated, and one goes to Spring Arbor and one goes to Michigan State. Lastly, Crusade taught me how to share the gospel well, without fear, directly, so that people could understand it. And I think that is key. I mean, if you don't know how to share the gospel, you are keeping yourself from giving people the only thing they really need. And so Crusade taught me how to do that, and I boldly proclaim that to friends, family, and co-workers, colleagues.
A little bit, but the students didn't feel as obligated to like perform that well. And I think like the other day when you had that only 2K improvement in their grades, like that was a really big wake up call as to like what we should do differently. So I think like from the very beginning, if we started off doing writing on the board what the assignments are and start